Good evening, everyone. We are here for another PulseZ Online event, and today we are going to discuss a bit more with Diana Belc from YMCA Arad, who is one of the organizers of a very successful local event that took place in one of the city's high schools. And we are going to discuss a bit more about how the organization process went for you as an organization, what do you feel the young people gained out of it, and what was the overall youth reaction to PulseZ? How did they engage with such an innovative media project? But I think first, maybe if you can tell us a bit more about yourself.
So I'm Diana Belc. I am the Secretary General of the YMCA Arad. We are quite new. We don't even have 2 years of activity in Arad, but I feel like we already got hopped on and started doing lots of awesome stuff in our local community and all the youth work.
And how did you get this opportunity to organize a PulseZ local event?
So when we heard about the opportunity from YMCA Europe, we got really excited to just kind of see how we can do it even as a local event and not only as a partnership with our national movement. And yeah, it was awesome that you contacted us. And
And what was the general idea behind the event? What was the philosophy? What did you want to offer young people?
we wanted to create a safe space where they can actually be more active on social media, because this is something we saw with our volunteers, that they consume social media, but they do not do so much content creation. And we wanted to create a space where they can get creative and just share their voice.
I'm guessing also to be able to enjoy, in a sense, the benefits of content creation in a safe, structured, guided manner, to provide them with a bit more insight into what a career in journalism can look like or in content creation. And how did the young people respond to such an opportunity? And if I remember correctly, you had quite big numbers of participants.
Yes, we had over 130 young people participate. Thank you. It was really, they really engaged with the event. Like, we gathered the numbers pretty easily with the help of the organizer, the high school where we held the event at. So I feel like the theme was appropriate for them. Like, they're interested in social media. They are on their phones every day. They consume it. They follow it. And also to see the perspective of maybe a job or just as a passion.
Do you think there's a lot of interest from the side of young people into following a career in journalism or in content creation? I remember seeing quite a lot of news headlines some years ago how young people don't want to be astronauts anymore, but they want to be content creators and influencers and so on. But does this actually translate into reality?
Yeah, so about influencers, there is some interest because the life they see online, it just looks kind of perfect and idealistic, and everybody kind of wants to aim there. But there comes the part when maybe they don't want to share their face online, or they just want to be a bit in the background. And this is something we noticed and at the event, that they do not post themselves so much. So it might be a step into just getting there.
Would you maybe say that young people are going through a process of digital detox, let's call it? They are restricting their online lives compared to what we've seen in previous generations?
Yes, compared with what we've seen, like, we shared everything online. Like, our generation was posting what we buy, what we eat, whatever, everything. But now I feel like they do hold themselves a bit.
So then, to some extent, I'm guessing this was also quite visible during the event, them having a bit more of a cautious approach towards social media. So what were the incentives? How did you get them to actually start seeing this as an opportunity to develop their content creation skills, their journalistic ability, their perception of what professing in such an environment might look like?
Well, we actually divided the session in such way that we had a practical part. So we had an influencer with us, Diana Belc, and she tried to explain what she does the work, and then, hey, hop in. Somebody needs to come in front. We're going to put a tripod and a camera, and we do it. And this process kind of helped them, like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that hard. Like, I can do it. I can repeat a sentence in my head and talk about an interest I have for 30 seconds. We can edit it. We can repeat it. We can do cuts. So we did practical part where we showed.
Were young people excited to actually interact with an influencer in a professional environment?
Yes, yes. They really like that part, let's say, and the practical session that Dana took.
And what was her approach? How did she translate all of the glamour that you see from the outside into something practical, into something tangible during the event?
Well, she actually started the session with having the tripod always there, like this. It was like now, like a podcast. So she said, "Okay, gonna do it from the start." She had two cameras set, and you're gonna learn and do by learning and
Trial and error,
trial and error.
practice, trying to see
Yeah.
what works.
And even for herself, when she was doing demos, like she made mistakes. She missed a word. She was like, okay, cut, repeat. It's fine. Like I always make mistakes.
But maybe not really mistakes, but let's switch a bit to the challenges. Which were the main hurdles that you encountered while organizing such an event?
The main hurdles were to actually see how to make it interesting enough and to keep them active during a full day event.
So, what was young people's perception of PulseZ? What was the reaction to having the opportunity of taking part in such a big European project and into actually creating the content that they would want to create?
So I feel like they were really excited to be part of something this big, like a European platform. Like, is it me, just a high schooler from Abad, going to actually, I can do this? Is it an option? Is it a possibility? Something that we can contribute? So they're really excited about it.
Now, being in an age where it's quite common to have this opportunity to express your voice, to make yourself available to an audience, be it as a content creator or as just a regular citizen. Do you think young people still have this excitement to share, to create content, to make their voice heard, or has it just become something more diluted in a sense? The appeal of it isn't really that big.
It's really dependable. Like, they want to share their voice. They just want to have ears to listen to them. So if they feel like they're going to be listened to and their voice is going to be heard, they will share it. But sometimes they feel like there's nobody there. And that's where what's the point? Nobody cares, nobody's listening. And this is something we tried to also do with this event. Like, we care. That's why PulseZ created this platform. That's why it's existing. For you to actually have a space where you can share it and somebody's on the other end. There are people reading, listening, consume what you do.
And it was very much also a youth-led event, no?
Yes. It was a youth-led event.
What did the organizational aspects behind it look like? How were you involved in the design process for activities? How did they co-create this opportunity?
So the organizational part was a bit big for us. It was our biggest event since we are such a new and pretty small organization. So we kind of dropped our heads on how to make it work in the best way. And our volunteers had great ideas into implementing it. And Dana helped with the sessions part and the practical stuff. And logistics was Ruben, our president, that he was a great help. And Stefania, she's amazing with working with youth. Like that's her thing. And everybody put their piece in the puzzle to just have this. And also the support of YMCA Europe into giving us the direction.
And do you think in the case of such a project, this sort of initiative of translating something which is usually operated at the European level into the grassroots area of things, do you think it's something that should be looked into for other projects as well? Do you think it's a more effective approach?
Yes. No, the grass, it's mandatory to also have it work in this way, in my opinion. I mean, yes, it's really nice to be at the desk and put your opinions out there and just be with politicians and whatever. But we need to get out there. We need to work with our youth hand in hand.
Do you think your experience also with youth work and with camping and with other non-formal education opportunities had quite a big impact in developing this event, the structure of it, the approach towards youth?
Yes, of course, it's been a help having the previous work with the events to also do this one and not being just our first time. But with every event and project, there comes maybe challenges and new things.
What would you like to also develop in the future? Not necessarily related to PulseZ, but out of this experience, what do you think is needed? What did you learn out of implementing such an event?
I think we need more spaces for youth to make their voice heard and actually be there for them because we've seen it with them. They want to give us, like, they are so full of initiative and ideas, and they want so much. They just don't know what they can do. They don't have the courage to start, and just creating a space for them to and encourage them. This is something we aim with all the activities we do.
And do you think this creation of opportunities is something that should be translated more in the field of policy, in the field of democratic participation, or in media, or in how would you envision it in an ideal world?
In an ideal world, you need to approach it multiple ways. Like, it's also, yes, policies would help, democracy would help. Also, having, I don't know, maybe school programs and things. So if you go in multiple directions, yeah, that would help in an ideal world.
But also, you've witnessed, I'm guessing, quite a lot of progress in this area in the past few years. What were some significant milestones that made you think things might be moving in a right direction, or in the other case, if you don't think that's something that's happening? How has the world evolved lately in terms of listening to its young people?
Well, already having youth representatives and at this table with the decision makers, it's something that I think it's a big milestone. And even I think there's still room that we need to fill, like to just grab more chairs and have more at the table. But there's been some steps in this direction.
Have you also seen maybe some challenges in terms of youth participation lately?
Yeah, some of them are not that interested into maybe joining these tables and these discussions. They feel it all comes back like, what can I do? Can I actually change something? Why should I? And that's why it all comes to, yeah, encourage them, give them the power, give them the freedom, and they will do it.
Do you think something, because you've implemented this event in collaboration with a local high school?
Yes.
Do you think this fusion between non-formal education in formal learning environments is something that should be replicated in more contexts?
Yes, yes, it should. And I saw some steps in this direction in the past years that schools are reaching much more to NGOs and they try to bring new people with new ideas and some topics and even with some things like Szkola Alfel the other week when they try to do more fun activities or things like this. But there's still a big separation into normal education and non-formal.
But at least in your punctual case, was the school receptive to such an activity? Were they willing to give it a shot and to see what happens?
Yes, yes, they were really receptive. They loved the topic. They really loved the topic, and that's why they really helped us and talked with other teachers and see what classes can we have come to the event. And they were really receptive, and we're grateful for that to them because we could not have done it without it.
But also speaking a bit more about the topic of the event, if I remember correctly, you also had a component related to critical thinking and to disinformation.
We had a really short part on that to we just kind of explained the idea to them. Like, hey, there's lots of things out there. Do not trust everything. So, but I think that school does not help so much with the critical thinking into the practical matter of social media. And that's where we try to just have some information of it because the topic is so much broader. But hey, you can look into this. Just search.
And after all, as an organization, you're there to plug gaps that you see in essence in a society, in a community. So what do you think our approach as civil society should be towards educating for critical thinking? How should we actually implement it on the ground?
Implementing on their own?
On the ground.
On the ground. I think these kind of events are pretty helpful, but also having just workshops or sessions on the topic, it's not something you can learn in one day. It's a process. It's going to take maybe years. But with all the changes online, I think it's something that we should focus on because we see it in our daily lives. Everything's online. We don't have that much physical press anymore. So the things that you consume are just online.
And it's after all a continuous process of adaptation, you as an individual, but also as a society, because obviously we're seeing how rapidly the world changed with AI. You cannot really trust your eyes anymore. So
no, you can't. And I see it also for myself. All the AI videos online, like with dogs and cats. Sometimes it's really hard to say which is AI and which is not. Like it's gone really far. So, and we kind of got an era without internet, and we just jumped in. These generations, they had the internet all their lives. So, and it's really changing and evolving.
do you see any sort of differences between these always digital generations, so the generations that grew up in a fully digitalized environment and the generations that were previous to them?
The differences in their interest, maybe, or just
In their interest in the way that they consume content and digital media, and basically how the digital natives are slightly different or more similar than we know compared to...
Mm, they are slightly different. I feel like they hide maybe a bit in the internet sometimes. So, mm, not so sure. They just don't put themselves, those that already grew up with all the digitals, they just take it as it is.
Just more or less as another daily reality of their lives.
Yeah.
So in this case, when you have young people who are so used with the digital world, so desensitized to it, how do you keep interest in this area? It is, after all, a very useful communication tool. It's something that still has the potential of reaching so many people from across the world. And yet, how do you bring this value proposition, for example, when you're organizing an event like yours? How do you come up to them and explain to them what the value of such an event is?
So the thing is, they only consume maybe, I don't know, 5% of the potential there is. And when you show them, hey, it's not only that you go and look at stories and double tap on a screen, there's also this side. And I think this is something that can keep their interest. Like, what's on the other part? Just changing a bit the approach into what we show them. And that catches the interest a bit.
Is it hard to maintain it, though, or?
It is a bit hard to maintain it, yes. Because, I know, even the attention span and everything, it is a bit hard to maintain the interest. Like, okay, there's so much you can do on the internet. We already know it. Okay, move on. But it's also, we try to remind them, like, it's part of our everyday life. You will use it maybe with school, at your work, and it's going to be there. So might as well educate yourself on all the parts.
It's using it with intentionality, with awareness, knowing that.
Don't just be a passive user.
Exactly. Do you think, in a sense, it's important for our resilience as communities to try and build this intentionality into our relationship with the digital sphere?
Yes.
Any concrete steps we should maybe take in this direction?
Mm, no, maybe just start with creating some guidelines on safety online, because the internet can also be a bit, it's complex.
So it's about building a healthy relationship, after all. No?
Yes. Yeah.
So about this thing of building a healthy relationship with the digital sphere, do you think young people, since they grew up in this environment and are familiar with also the risks of the digital sphere to some extent, do you think they are also more prone to take a step back from digital media if it feels like it occupies too much time? Do you think they know how to time their use a bit better than?
No, and I also don't think they really know the real risk. Like, they are really connected. The phone is an extension of their hand. They're really connected to the internet. I know we had some events when we went to a place without reception or internet for a few days with our young people, and it was a big shock for them the first day and the second day, and by the end of the fourth day, they're like, "Oh, I think I left my phone somewhere in the room. I cannot find it anymore." So it was hard to having that detox at the beginning because they're so used. Always a notification, always sending a message, always consuming this. They're really into consuming internet and being online. So for them to take Longer breaks, I don't see it come as natural. It's something that it needs to be, you need to have intentionality into having that. And they don't really take breaks from the internet.
So there's still quite some challenges in maintaining this healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And as a final question, now since you've already gone through this process and explored a bit what the digital media side is like through a local event, would you consider pursuing other initiatives in this field as an organization?
Yes, we still want to do digital work and to have youth involved into even being able to have this space into creating content online and making their face, voice, opinions heard. So yeah, it was a great start, and I'm sure we will continue to develop something more on these topics.
That's great to know. Diana, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having this discussion and sharing some of the insights of organizing such an event. Congratulations once again for the very nice milestone that you've hit. And looking forward to hearing more about your progress in this sphere as well. So thank you so much, and
Thank you
I wish you all
very
the best. And thank you so much for watching us once again, and looking forward to seeing you for our next online community event.